What is up, guys? It is Styx here, and today I'm going to be going over what might be the currently most broken PvP build you can go for, at least until it gets nerfed, which I think it will eventually be. Now, going immediately into the build itself, you're going to run Well of Radiance as your super. It's the shortest one, and it tends to just be very useful in team play. You're going to go with Phoenix Dive for a quick, instant restoration and heal, Burst Glide for the initial boost of speed, Celestial Fire due to the increased range it gives you. You can use this to really catch people around corners sometimes as well due to its tracking. Healing Grenade, this is necessary for the build, and it is going to do two really good things, curing and applying restoration, but also when you combine it with Speaker Sight, it has some interesting little information, as do all of your healing abilities. The two aspects I'm going to recommend to get the absolute most out of this build are Touch of Flame. Your healing grenades will have an enhanced functionality, which the cure will be improved, the restoration will be improved, and consuming a healing grenade with Heat Rises also will apply restoration to your nearby allies. Speaking of which, we're using Heat Rises. So this will consume our grenade, it does that extra cure boost, it gives that restoration, and it allows you to jump up and get a lot of really easy kills due to the enhanced airborne effectiveness from Heat Rises. The fragments are going to be pretty simple. You're going to run Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration, and picking up a fire sprite grants restoration in addition to a +10 resilience. All three of those effects are really good. The reviving an ally is going to be useful in any high-end PvP modes because most of the comp modes allow for revives and encourage them, and Trials, obviously revives are the way to go. Ember of Solace, so that radiant and restoration effects applied to you have increased duration, so this will make it so that anything that gives you that, the Phoenix Dive, the Healing Grenade, Heat Rises, all of it. Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. The little hit to your discipline is a little unfortunate, but it's well worth it, and this will combine with Ember of Solace, so Radiant will have an increased duration as well. And the ideally best fragment out of all of these, for only a cost of 10 discipline, applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant, all of the effects that this build will apply constantly, grants increased grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for short duration. If you're cycling through your abilities, let's say you're in Trials, right? You're going to have a healing grenade almost every round, and you're going to have a Phoenix Dive every round. And this will be very important for our exotic, which will be Speaker Sight. Its exotic perk is the Lost Voice. Healing grenades spawn a restorative turret. This will heal you about 5 or 6 times, I believe, which each heal is like another healing grenade. It's wild. In addition to that, healing allies occasionally spawns an orb of power. In PvP, if you use any of your heals on an ally, it will spawn an orb. This will also apply to yourself if you use self-damaging weapons like Tommy's Matchbook or like Touch of Malice. This will give you your super in only a few rounds if you maximize its effectiveness, and the orbs themselves will activate exotic perks like Khvostov, which we will be playing into that. But going into the mods, I'm going to recommend targeting mods for your weapons, dexterity mods for your weapons, unflinching mods for your weapons, and then on the legs, it gets a little bit interesting PvP wise. I want you to run 2 to 3 kinetic weapon searches, and if you only want to run 2, I recommend running an Orb of Power ability cooldown based thing, because you're going to constantly be getting orbs. In addition to that, I'm going to recommend on your class item running as many of the bomber distribution, these things that give you more ability energy, as you are comfortable with doing. Stat-wise, I'm going to recommend a minimum of 7 tier 7 resilience, a minimum of 100 recovery, or 100 discipline. Probably lean towards discipline if you have to choose between the two. And if you can, get 100 in both. Then after that, any extra points you get, you could put them into intellect or strength, depending on whether it's more important for you to get your super faster or to be able to use your Celestial Fire more frequently. Now, getting into the weapons that we're going to be using with this setup, I'm going to highly recommend that your primary and your most used weapon is Khvostov 7G0X. So, this has 2 main exotic perks to it, maybe 3. Eyes Up Guardian, collecting orbs of power strengthens this weapon's next 7 ricochet shots, allowing them to bounce between multiple targets. I have had, and there might be clips or it might have just been unrecorded session, I have had several Trials rounds where I have killed all 3 members of a team by shooting one guy because of this perk. And then the other intrinsic exotic perk is the right choice. Every 7th bullet from this weapon deals additional damage and ricochets to nearby targets. Then the secondary sort of pseudo exotic perk is shoot to loot, which normally this, when you shoot ammo, picks it up and automatically reloads your weapons. But this one also allows you to shoot orbs of power to pick them up. Very useful if an ally supers on like the enemy team and you don't want to like run in there and just, you know, cause more of a mess. You can just shoot the orbs. Other than that, it's pretty niche. In PvP at least. In PvE, it's phenomenal. The other weapons I'm going to recommend here are whatever energy weapon you want to use. I found a lot of use from something like a made ingredient because under pressure, tap the trigger just fits really well with Trials with the amount of ammo you get. And I like using it as like an anti-shotgun tool. For one thing, if people hear you charge it up, they'll usually back off. And if they don't, you just kill them. And it's relatively simple. It outranges a shotgun, so you can kill them before they get in their one-hit kill range. And then for your heavy weapon, I'm going to recommend whatever machine gun or grenade launcher you're familiar with. I'm just running my highest power machine gun, which is a Pro Memoria with Reconstruction Bait and Switch. Reconstruction and Bait and Switch are not PvP perks at all. It's there. I don't really use the heavy super often unless one of my teammates doesn't pick up the heavy brick and center. As far as your artifact, you're not really going to get a whole lot of use out of this. The only thing that I can say that you could get use from this is Radiant Orbs, which while you have solar or prismatic, in this case solar, subclass equipped, picking up an orb of power makes you radiant. This will just let you get your radiant more, and radiant will last longer because of Ember of Solace. That makes it easy enough, and it's handled. Either way, this build is going to dominate the meta until it is nerfed, I think, and even after it's nerfed, it'll still be extremely useful. I don't think there's a way they can nerf this without making either the exotic or Khvostov useless that would make them not really strong. So even if this gets nerfed and it's not super overpowered and not generating orbs constantly, it's still going to be really strong. And if you want to make it even more bonkers, if you don't really care about Khvostov or you're like super anti-meta gun, then run like Red Death or something. More healing, it's wild. Either way, if you enjoyed the video and liked the build, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and peace.